Hi, I'm Jeff Murrah, and I want to welcome you to True Texas History. Today we're going to be talking about the aftermath of Goliad and Runaway Scrape. In terms of Goliad, I know that the anniversary of the massacre was over the weekend, and I am not online over the weekend, so I didn't cover that. But I can tell you that the last person killed associated with Goliad was the commander, Fannin, and he asked for three requests. One, that his watch be given to his wife. Two, that he would be shot in the chest. And three, that he would be given a Christian burial. Well, the Mexican troops went ahead and pocketed the watch, shot him in the head, and left his body out there in the open for the animals. Nice people, right? And this is the type of thing that just angered the Texans to no end. See, many of the Texans were very well aware of what history refers to as the rape of Zacatecas. See, prior to the uprisings in Texas in 1836, there was an uprising in Zacatecas. Now, this doesn't get talked about in a lot of classes, but Santa Anna, after defeating the forces there, the military forces and militia, he went ahead and turned his men loose for 2 days to murder, rape, pillage, take whatever they wanted to. And the Texans knew this, and they were very scared of what Santa Anna might do there in Texas. In fact, it's kind of ironic there around Gonzales, the local people did not want an armed revolt against the Mexican government until the Mexican troops, along with their demand for the cannon, they went ahead and just hauled off and beat the crud out of a local Texan with the rifle butt of one of their rifles. And with that incident, that told them, we're no longer playing, this is no longer fun and games. So that's part of what got them riled up. Now, after Goliad and after the Alamo, they were very riled up. And it did a couple of things. One thing it did was there were some desertions from Houston's army. Men going back home to protect their families. But those that stayed with the army were getting very hard. They were very angry and they wanted revenge. And they were bound and determined to get it. They knew that they were playing for keeps with what was going on in the war. They knew that they stood an opportunity to lose everything. Now, that's why they decided to go ahead and pull back. Now, I talked about the burning of Gonzales, and of course the leaving of the poison liquor. Houston was of the opinion, let's go ahead and get rid of everything that they can use, because he knew Santa Anna had to maintain a long supply system. When you're conducting an invasion of enemy territory, you've got to have supplies. And the Navy was cutting off supplies from the sea, so they had to have long overland supply trains. And he was going to make it as hard as possible on them. And so those are some of the factors that led to it. And people had good reason to be afraid of Santa Anna. They remembered what Santa Anna did. See, another thing that Santa Anna was involved with, if you remember the Gutierrez-McGee expedition where I talked about the filibusters, some of the men that were killed, Santa Anna didn't order this, but he was an officer in the army and he witnessed it. The bodies were literally quartered, and the limbs and portions of the body were hung on trees in various places around San Antonio to send a message: this is what happens if you oppose Spain. Santa Anna, as a young officer, grew up with that kind of brutality. He saw nothing wrong with that type of brutality. Although he was a Mason, at that point he was a 32nd degree Mason, he was not always doing what he was supposed to do. Turning your army loose to be brutal, he thought that it would send a message to those people from the other states that came in to help us in other countries, which it did, but it also hardened the Texans in their determination to overthrow him. Now, bear in mind that when he was in power, he dissolved the state legislature, so there was no governmental recourse. He went ahead and instituted, I guess, what you would call liberal policies at the time. And his word became law. He decided to go against the Constitution. He decided to oppress anyone that spoke out against him. In Zacatecas and Mexico proper, and also in Texas, his troops were growing increasingly violent, and things got out of hand. And the Texans saw it, and they knew they needed to do something about it. And so that's why they were going ahead and fighting, and some of them were pulling back, hoping to go ahead and have one big showdown. But I wanted to go ahead and go over this so she had an idea what was in the head and what was in the hearts of those people. Now, there's a lot of speculation even to this day what was going on in Sam Houston's head. We don't know. Why? Because he did not have councils of war. He kept a lot of things to himself. We know from some of the people, the observers, what he did, but we don't know what he was thinking. There was some speculation that he was going to get close to the U.S. border and U.S. troops were going to come over from Louisiana. They were already lined up and